Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dentalpreneuer Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costes. I am in my brand new studio, Jake Conway. How you doing, man?
I'm lovely. Just recovering.
We are in my brand new studio, which is my previous office, which has been outfitted with professional audiovisual equipment. In fact, my cameras are getting mounted on the walls tomorrow, but we're actually going a little ghetto with a tiny little tripod and Jake's phone, because my phone is out of data, so I can't even shoot video.
It's not surprising, Mark.
Yeah, so this is it, guys. You guys are seeing the very first video ever shot in the brand new studio. It is Whiskey Wednesdays, Jake. Cheers, Wednesdays. Cheers to you. Oh, wonderful. Dalwhinnie's 15-year-old Scotch whiskey. Neat.
Who was that from?
I can't remember.
I think it's Pat Brown.
No, he sent...
Yeah.
He sent tequila.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah, so
whoever
thank you. Whoever sent me this Dalwhinnie's 15 Scotch whiskey, thank you so much. It's a Highland single malt. So that's what we're doing to kick off the brand new studio. Today, Jake, lucky you. You got some dental work done by me.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Some of you might have seen that on social media. The before, during, and after pictures of Jake with his mouth wide open. Yeah, just a few cavities. It's been 4 years since you've
4 years
since you've had a dental.
That sounds terrible, right?
It does sound terrible, but hey, man, you're human. You're human. It's probably been longer than that for me. I mean, I always say I go to the dentist every day, so I don't need to go to the dentist. Right?
Of course. Now they retire and I'll never go again.
Yeah, totally. So I wanted to talk to you about a few things today. It was very exciting that you held the second ever live event at the Dental Success Network training facility in Scottsdale. It was called the Advanced Analytics Think Tank. It went off really, really well. Had a really good crowd, very receptive. People came from all over the country. We had a CPA there. We had Alistair McDonald. I was speaking. Jake was speaking. Michael Lomaton and Kevin Rawson were speaking on advanced analytics. I think it was a really, really great first event for you, Jake. Give us your reflections on how you think it went.
Yeah, I think it went really well. My vision with it was to have, different experts, from different fields, but the same theme of, we all know the surface stuff for most of the, because you can go listen to a podcast or go out and Google something and find like some real surfacey stuff for some numbers and KPIs, analytics. But to take a deep dive, to get into the mind of someone who does this on a day in and day out basis is, I think, in my opinion, invaluable. So that was my whole thought. And I feel like it went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, so the CPA, the name of the CPA?
Scott Haberman. Awesome guy. Love
really,
that guy.
really great CPA, dentally focused CPA. He works with hundreds of dentists every day on decreasing their tax liability and I mean, just the nuts and bolts CPA stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we have Mike Lomaton and Kevin Rawson with Divergent, who look at hundreds upon hundreds of dental practices and their analytics every single day. So they see trends as we do and patterns. And then you and I mean, between the two of us, we have to be in the 4 digits of numbers of practices that we've actually analyzed and looked behind the curtain of.
I think so.
So, there are certain things that are the basics, like, practice analytics and practice management 101. And then there are certain things that only people that do this every single day, all day, pick up on, right?
Absolutely.
So that was the whole idea and goal behind having this event. And I think it was awesome.
I think so. I mean, one of the I don't know if he's new to the game, but new to the dental game, Alistair McDonald, man, we have gotten so much good feedback from that man. And he has such an ability to tie in, the fluffy stuff that we talk about in life and, making decisions based on the analytics and numbers within your life. And really, really good event. Thank you for everybody who attended. It was awesome. I look forward to do it next year and make it bigger and better. And thank you for being there too, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to speak. So, Alistair, a big thing that we're working with Alistair on in the mastermind community, in our mastermind group, in our private coaching clients, is what we call the 4 futures. Focusing not only on the business and finances and practice management, but also other parts of your life, right?
Yeah.
And I can attest to focusing solely on the business stuff and letting your relationships go or letting your health go, not really having a very tangible focus on what your legacy is going to be, how people are going to view you after you're gone, the mark that you're actually making on the world. That is the stuff that Alistair is actually really, really strong in. And he's not a philosopher. He's actually a financial guy, but he's just a very wise person that he's my performance coach, and he's brought out the best in me. I have a totally different outlook on my business and the way that I live my life and the priorities that I put with my relationships. He really has brought out a whole different side of me, and I thank him for it. I've had him on the podcast already a couple different times. He's spoken at 2 events for us now, and he hands down is one of the most popular speakers every time he gets up there.
Easily. I mean, I don't know if you say he's brought out a different side in you. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but I feel like he's brought you back to, the why in life, which we all struggle with all the time when we're talking about business and trying to grow and create our mark on this world. I mean, that's how we measure success most of the time is, by how much money we can generate and how much money we bring, home. So yeah. He kind of brings that why back into focus while still focusing on your legacy and building your business. So the tangible stuff that he has to offer is just, I think in my opinion, in especially in dentistry, it doesn't exist right now.
It's true. So the 4 futures, if you are breaking that down, imagine just a pie and you put an X in the middle of it. So the 4 futures are 4 different areas that we are attempting to focus on this year for all of our mastermind members, Jake and I included. Yep. We're throwing our hat into that as well, as is Ashley and everybody that works at DSI. It's the 4 futures. It's mind, money, meaning, and muscle. Yep. So if you're going to break a pie into 4 quadrants, those are the things that we're going to focus on this year. So mind meaning, having some sort of a mindfulness exercise, taking time to reflect on your gratitude and reflect on allowing your mind to rest and to be at peace and to quiet things down in this crazy world that we live in now, this instant gratification society, and world, this social media, just overwhelmingly huge amounts of data that are coming at us all day, every day. It's very, very difficult to know what to focus on and how to assimilate all of the white noise and the data that's just getting poured at us all day, every day.
Absolutely.
Being intentional about a mindfulness exercise and focusing on personal development, I think is a really big part of what we're going to be focusing on this year.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that part of your journey? Because you're still in the young gun phase where you're working really long hours and you're building your business, and you just bought a house and you have some responsibilities that you didn't always used to have. So that can get very, very daunting and very overwhelming at times. Although we don't use the O word at HQ here, we don't use the word overwhelming, but I know that it can get overwhelming at times. Yeah. So how are you with that quadrant, the mindfulness quadrant?
I've kind of always took pride in being able to unplug.
Mm-hmm. You're better at that than I am, for sure.
Yeah. I try to, when I think about my business and what I'm doing and how, the things I'm creating and the people I'm impacting, all that, I think, why am I doing it in the first place? Right. And it starts with me. If I'm not happy and fulfilled with my why and my journey through my business, the people I try to impact around me, it's not going to have the same impact as it would as if I was at my true best self. Right. Sure. So I look at it as, if I'm my best self today and in the future, then I can help those around me as much as I can. Obviously, it takes a certain level of success from a financial standpoint to accomplish some of the things you want to accomplish. But from that aspect, the mindful aspect, I try to be, like I said, my best self for those around me so I can give it my all.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're talking about the 4 quadrants or the 4 futures, so we have mind, meaning. For me, meaning is all about relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And making sure that I'm not taking any of the relationships in my life for granted. And back to mind, that the whole gratitude, kind of practice is a really big part of my life too. So if you're talking about some sort of a morning ritual, which is, I'm huge about morning rituals. Everybody that's listened to this podcast has heard me talk about it. I have a very, very structured morning ritual. It starts with gratitude, then it's personal development, then it's exercise, and then it's something creative. I do the same thing every single morning with the same amount of time. And it's not that I get done working out and I go and brag to my friends how much I lifted. It's just so much part of my ingrained, routine that it's just like breathing.
I think it's beyond routine for you. It's it's a complete habit.
It really is. It's completely a habit. And that's why if I don't continue to do it while I'm on the road, I just feel completely out of sorts.
Right.
And that's one of the things about traveling that I have to make sure that I do, because your sleep patterns are off and you're probably drinking too much, and it's very difficult to get a healthy meal. If on top of all of that, and I'm away from my family and away from my wife, sleeping in a different bed, the temperature might be off, And in addition to that, I lose my morning routine. I'm just toast.
Absolutely.
I just stick a fork in me. It's over. I'm useless the next day. So that's just one of the things that I can lean on to have some semblance of normalcy for me. Being a person that's on the road 3 out of 4 weeks every month.
Yeah.
I really, really lean heavily on that.
I absolutely. I've narrowed it down to two or actually 3 things that I absolutely need in the morning. After reading, excuse me, I'm gonna take a little drink here before I expound here.
Oh man, that
is very good.
Unbelievable. I love scotch, but I
want the Whiskey Wednesday to last all day today.
Dalwhinnie's. Oh, thank you, Dalwhinnie.
Thank you. Gratitude for you, man.
I'm so grateful for this 15-year-old scotch in my head right now.
So good. Anyway, I've narrowed it down to 3 things because I've read Hal Elrod. I think we've all kind of extrapolated a few things from his methodology.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't heard the Savers method, I really suggest getting out there and getting your hands on that. So for me, it's quiet, quiet in the mind, which is gratitude. And
is that like a formal guided meditation practice, or you just do your own thing where you just kind of sit there quietly and reflect?
I actually can do it while I'm like moving around. I just really focus in on like just what I'm grateful for, the people around me, affirmations. Then for me, it's a little bit of exercise, right? Do something to get the blood pumping and get the mind going on top of that as well. Yeah. But for me, my third is music, dude.
Yeah.
I have to have music. I have to have some sort of music. Like I can listen to a podcast, but I got to throw music there at some point. Cause me, when I'm in there crunching numbers, I'm blasting myself with metal, but so some sort of music. So I don't know. It's different for everybody, but for me, I've identified what really works for me. If I can't get all the 8 in that I try to do, if I can focus on those 3, I feel like it's made it. So for you, like I'm really, I can resonate with what you're saying, because for me, if I focus on a couple things, I feel like I'm still on my routine for the day.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's pop on down to meaning. I'm just doing this visually in my head. So if we do mind first, that's mindfulness, gratitude, morning ritual, that sort of thing. And then we talk about meaning. For me, that's all about relationships. And that's making sure that I define my non-negotiables for the people in my life, right?
Yep.
Making sure that I spend the appropriate amount of time, even more so nowadays, with the people that I love than I used to in the past. I got cornered by this dude. I spoke at the DSO, the Shine DSO forum last weekend in Vegas. 600 people, packed house, great speakers, even better networking. Because when you're talking about you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, but it's also really, really important to get outside of your comfort zone and outside of your normal surroundings every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And I was definitely outside of my normal surroundings because the average person that I met there had at least a dozen dental practices, which is more than me, right? And I'm used to being one of the people that has one of the most in the room. And some people in the room had 100 dental practices, right? I got to hang out with Steve Bilt, who has built over 400 dental practices with a $700 million annual revenue. So I got to meet and hang around with people like that at this particular conference, which I found valuable. And I come back, we always say that what is that saying that we always say? Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. So I found myself walking out of there going, dang, man, I'm so unaccomplished.
But that can be motivating too.
That's exactly right. That's what I was getting at. So it could be negative, or you can turn it to a positive. It is very, very refreshing for me to say, oh man, I haven't accomplished anything yet. I got to get to it without beating myself up too much.
Exactly.
Right? I've done well. I'm grateful for where I am, but boy, these people put on their pants one leg at a time, just like I do, and they figured out a way. So I'm going to figure out a way.
Seeing people like that's encouraging, because you're like, they can do it. I can do it. Like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it does, like you said, it doesn't have to be negative.
So what I was getting at,
sorry,
long circle. I have all these rabbit holes that I have a tendency to go down. But I met this kid who pulled me inside, and he was hammering me with these questions. And I just got off stage and I was exhausted. It had been a long 2 days of networking, meeting with a lot of different vendors for DSN. And I was just done. Yeah. Like when you get off stage, you have the adrenaline dump and you're just like, I just want to be left alone. This kid was following me around. Nice person, but he just kept on hammering me. How is it possible that you can run 4 big companies, you can have 10 dental practices, you can, and still be able to give proper attention to your wife and 3 kids at home? And he was asking this from a good place, because he has one young child, and he's trying to figure out if he should scale, and if his family life would take a hit, and if it would be worth it to go down that road, or if he should just continue to run his very successful single dental practice and be a good father and a good husband. And I kept on telling him that, look, man, I've had it both ways. I have been way out of whack, and my priorities have been way out of whack. And I've really lately, especially over the last few years, come back around and really focused on my family and on my non-negotiables. And there is a compromise there. You can, I believe, to a degree, have it all, as long as you set it up the right way, right?
Yeah.
So now I always run these trips by my wife. Before I take a speaking engagement, I ask her or one of my sons if they want to come with me. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. If she doesn't want me to go, if we have a big conflict, I don't schedule it, right? And that used to be something that I didn't do, right? I still get home on the weekends, at least Saturday and Sunday, so that I can watch my kids play baseball and soccer. That's a non-negotiable for me. So I figured out a way to do that. If I'm going to speak at an event, I'll take the Friday, not the Saturday. I'll take a red eye home, and I will be there, right? And when I'm home, and I'm present, and I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely working on that. So I was telling him these things, but he didn't want to hear it. It's like, I don't believe that you can do it. I don't believe that you can do what you're doing and still be a good father and a husband. And I'm like, dude, there are definitely ways to do it. You have to structure your life the right way. You have to have married the right spouse. If your spouse isn't down with you being gone, and that's going to be a huge problem in your relationship, then maybe this life isn't for you. But if you structure it the right way, I honestly believe that you can still have great relationships and really push the limits of expansion and scale. I
totally agree. And you touched on a big point, is being present. I mean, so many people think that, all right, I'll do it. I'll just go home and make sure I'm home, like I'm home on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But they're thinking about what their next speaking gig's going to be, or what's the business is doing. And
or how about Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. How about the guy that's like never missed a recital or a little league game, but never looks up from his phone because he's conducting business during those games, and he feels better about himself, but he's not present. He's not any more present than I am if I'm out of town.
He couldn't tell you his kids like what they did and what they didn't do like on that game. So
maybe I'm trying to make myself feel better because I travel so much. That could be.
No,
that could be. But I'm just trying to say that there is a way to have it both ways. You know, I always tell this story about my row instructor in dental school. I don't know if you've heard this story, Jake.
Like 7 times?
Yeah. And the guy was like, you know, I came back 3 years after I graduated from dental school, and I had my first 3 practices, and I was really excited and proud. And, you know, we were killing it. We had like, I don't know, we had maybe 20 employees at the time. We were a small operation, but for me, that was a big deal. He was a guy that had worked for 40 years in the same location with one assistant, that assistant being the person that worked with him chairside and answered the phone, right? So a 2-operatory practice for 40 years, same location. And I came back, he's like, how's it going, Mark? And I came back to the dental school to visit. We were back in town for a wedding, and I was touring the brand new dental school. And we sat down, had a cup of coffee. How you doing? I was like, doing great. Got 3 practices, a couple of associates, 20 employees. And he looked at me like with disappointment going, I'm really concerned for you, Mark. Like I sold out. Like,
right.
I really don't believe, this is him now, I really don't believe that you could offer or provide good dental care if your attentions were spread out the way that they are. And it bummed me out. I just remember thinking, geez, man, am I headed down the wrong path? It was at that moment that I realized that there are certain people that are able to provide good care and to delegate effectively, and you have to have the right abundance mindset, and he didn't.
Right.
So he wasn't the type of person that I should have been sharing that type of information with, right? I mean, I should have just said, hey, it's great to see you. We're doing good. My practices are doing good. Great to see you. Shake his hand, and I can't wait to see you again. But, there's certain people that are going to accept the choices that you make, and there's certain people that are going to think that because I did it this way, there's no way that you'll be able to pull it off.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, as you get more successful, that becomes more and more apparent too, what I'm finding.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's sad. It's sad, but it's just one of those realities that you have to realize if you're going to really, really push the limits and try to find your true potential. I had the great pleasure of being able to watch on stage at this DSO forum this weekend, Diana Nyad, who is an incredible public speaker, professional speaker. She was a very accomplished swimmer her whole life. Just by a split second missed the Olympic team in swimming in the backstroke, and then found distance swimming, right? So these swims are like, really, really long, 24-hour through the night kind of swims, and people would compete in these swims. She came up with this idea because she became enamored with Cuba that she would swim from Cuba to Florida. And the waters are treacherous, and the swells are huge, and there's sharks and there's jellyfish. She tried 4 times and didn't make it 4 times. Maybe it was 3 times. And on the 4th attempt, at 60 years old, she actually made it. From a 100-mile swim, took her 52 hours. She wasn't in a shark cage. She had divers protecting her just in case sharks arose. But she swam through jellyfish. She was hallucinating. She was swimming in the wrong direction. She had this huge crew of people, but really, really inspirational. And that was another thing that really affected me this weekend, was that it made me reflect on somebody that at 60 years old was still trying to find what their full potential was.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So I'm in my mid 40s thinking, I'm done. I mean, I like athletically, I'm in good shape, but like, I think my time has passed, right? I was a collegiate athlete, and I'm like, the best years of my life are behind me. When she was thinking the best of years at 60 years old, she's thinking the best years of my life are still in front of me athletically. I mean, what? So like the point being, she was still trying to find what her full potential was because she didn't think that she had achieved it yet.
Right.
So I walked out of there thinking, God, I probably haven't found my full potential. I need to step back on the gas and obviously making sure that I'm maintaining my non-negotiables, making sure that the meaning in my life was still being taken care of and that my priorities were still in order. But a big part of who I am is finding out what my true potential is and pushing the limits of that. Totally. And I won't be any good to the rest of my family and those that I love if I'm unhappy because I know that there's something else I should be striving for, but I'm too scared or worried about them to strive for it.
Absolutely. No, that being your best self, man, I totally agree with that. I totally resonate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know, like when
would you like a little refill?
Just a little skosh, as Ashley would say. I mean, finding that true potential at your age or, her age, like someone who's been through a lot, who's been through the ringer, has massive success. I mean, when you're finding your potential, past a certain point, I feel like it's more calculated. It's more, you have more mindfulness when it comes to like, okay, I'm going to find my true potential, but it's not going to be at a cost of those around me. Right. Whereas before, like, even I've found myself thinking, it's all about, especially in the beginning, like I just want to reach this certain point for me, but at some point, like I said, a man in your shoes, like you have such a mindfulness now that it's just a different way of finding that next echelon, right? It's more mindfulness. And so,
yeah, and it's reaching and striving for that, making sure that we're not sacrificing other areas of our life, right? So if you're thinking of this quadrant, the 4 futures, like if I'm going to make a push in business, I have to make sure that these 5 things are taken care of in my personal life.
Yes.
And if they're not, and if they're in conflict of that, then I need to figure out a different way to try to push and find my absolute potential,
right. Calculated now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah. So mind, money, meaning, and muscle. So muscle being obviously movement is another way of saying it, exercising. I forget the exact quote, but they say that if you are able to keep yourself alive for the next 30 years, you have the potential to live an additional 100 years because of all technological advancements, all the advancements in genetics, all the advancements in pharmacology, all the advancements in nutrition. And I mean, there is a whole group of really smart people, of scientists that are working on longevity and immortality, really. Now, somebody that's, middle-aged as I am, that sounds really, really attractive. And the people that are pushing this initiative are even older than I am. And they truly believe, some of the smartest people that I've ever read on, truly believe this to be true. Within 30 years, we'll be able to extend life beyond 100 years.
Meshing with machine.
Yeah, it's just crazy. This whole notion of AI and this whole notion of genetic enhancement and this whole notion of creating this quote unquote immortality is very, very interesting.
Have you heard of nanobot technology?
No, I haven't.
I don't know if we have time on the podcast.
Oh yeah, but like swallowing a pill and
it like regulates your cholesterol, regulates like everything.
Right. So like a little robot would go in this pill and be able to see.
They're like the size of cells, and they clean your bloodstream, and they regulate like everything.
Yeah.
So like that's what we're talking about. That could literally change.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. So if you had these little cells, these little robot cells that were going around, circulating through your body and reporting back,
regulating data, everything,
not just regulating, but being able to determine, hey, we got cancerous cells in the pancreas here.
Let's kill it. Yeah.
There's 3 of them. Let's kill them now.
Exactly.
Or not just identifying it, but actually being able to kill them.
Basically, choose when you die at that point. Like,
yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you can live to the point where this technology is actually in place, then the sky's the limit. Right?
Totally.
So, but the bottom line is not about technology and about immortality. The bottom line is to extend your life as long as possible if you want to achieve that, right? And the only way we know how to do that now is through diet, exercise, and stress control, right?
By drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the 15-year-old Del Winnie's helps a lot.
Yeah, it does.
But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, I have a very intentional fitness practice as well.
Right.
I eat a certain way. We all do at DSI. We all eat a certain way, and we're always very, very conscious of what we're putting into our body and the amount of movement that we're getting, because we want to try to get to that point where we can achieve immortality, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
and the life we're living now,
and it improves the quality of your life right now,
mentally,
right?
Everything, so much clarity. I don't know if you guys out there have seen Mark and I in person, but Mark's a ripped guy, but sitting next to me, he's a dwarf. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, this is actually on video, so everybody can look at it now. We don't have, we have our shirts on, but I mean, it's
that's the whiskey talking.
Yeah. Hey, Jake's used to just being on podcast, but this is on film now.
Damn it.
There you go.